And I'm still wrapping my head around this, but Trump is the nominee, okay, the presumptive one, certainly. So the question is, what next? Will the GOP come around and support him? Well, here's what the head of the RNC had to say.
I think something different and something new is probably good for our party. And look, I don't think anyone predicted what happened. So look, we're here. We're going to get behind the presumptive nominee.
That kind of looked like a hostage video, but anyway, thank you. But you notice the word probably? It's probably good for the party. When's the last time of any party you ever heard the head of the party say, it's probably good? Well, the RNC not exactly doing cartwheels for the Donald, but Trump is already talking about a running mate, and the outsider says he wants an insider.
Will your vice presidential choice definitely be a Republican?
Yes, that's true.
Will it be an elected official?
Most likely, and it will be probably a person with political experience. You have the military sphere, you have the political sphere, and you have the business. Well, the business I handle, I think I'm going to be very, very good on the military, to be honest with you. I think that will be the hidden strength. And I think probably I would like to go with somebody with great political experience.
And again, his military experience comprised of getting a deferment because of his foot. But anyway, the Donald is focused on a Veep and on the general election, as you heard. And Andrew's got to look at how a Trump-Clinton matchup is looking. And I know a lot of guys at the table, and they're not the only ones saying, we've underestimated him at our peril, but the map and the math don't look good for him.
That's one of the caveats, Rich. The other one is that this is just where we're starting from. It's the starting point of the election, and the polls can and will tighten. But there is a conclusion to draw from these numbers. If Trump defeats Hillary Clinton and wins the White House in November, we're looking at one of, if not the biggest upsets in modern presidential election history, at least based on the numbers. New CNN poll out today in the field before Indiana has Clinton leading Trump by 13 points, 54-41. That's larger than any lead that Barack Obama had over Mitt Romney in 2012. And the lead is even more daunting when you shift to electoral votes. Larry Sabato at the University of Virginia, one of the best in the business at this, has Clinton with a 347-191 win in the Electoral College with no states listed as toss-ups. That's a bigger win than President Obama had over Romney in 2012, and it gives Clinton a 77-vote cushion beyond what she needs to win. Here's how big the landslide could be for Clinton. Florida, Ohio, North Carolina, Virginia, Colorado, Nevada, all key swing states, all listed as leaning Clinton. Pennsylvania is likely Clinton. Those 7 swing states were the 191 electoral votes. And the numbers get even worse for Trump when you break down the poll for demographic groups and on issues, and there are few bright spots for the presumptive Republican nominee. Clinton leads among women. She's tied among men. Clinton leads among non-whites 65-25 and leads with all voters under 55, voters at all income levels, college and non-college graduates. She leads among Democrats and independents across all regions of the nation and among both urban and suburban voters. And on the issues, voters prefer Clinton over Trump on terrorism, health care, immigration, climate change, foreign policy, education, and dealing with the income gap. Trump's only issue lead, and this is key, is in the economy. He leads 50-45. But here's his one silver lining. The economy is the top issue of the race. 88% of voters put it in one of the top 2 boxes, Rich.
Okay. Question first on the party. You can't throw a general blanket around it. You've seen tepid embrace of Trump. Take Peter King, who I know you know.
Yes.
And he had some great analogies for what he wouldn't do for Ted Cruz, certainly with his mixed record for New York State. Donald Trump. For a guy like Peter King, who's in a district that's not red, but he's a solid, no one's going to think that he's got a tough seat. Where do Republicans like him go? Do they stay out of this entirely? Do they get their arms around Trump?
We're going to get our arms around Mr. Trump.
Really?
Simple as that. And right
Will
now,
people hold their nose when they do it? Or?
They're licking their wounds or whatever. This isn't what they thought should happen or would happen, but it did. So let's get over it and let's get on with the job at hand, which is to defeat Hillary.
Now, the money dried up, and you know that. In terms of past cycles, fundraising has shrunk. Now, Trump, to his credit, got so much free media, he didn't really put any money into it. And if you bother to look in, he did in the form of loans, whatever he spent. But we'll see where that goes. Point is there real concern among other Republicans that none of this money is going to flow downhill because it's not going top of the ticket. And a lot of the dollars that they're counting on for November isn't going to be there. You heard what the Koch brothers, for example, said,
Well, I can speak, and I'd rather speak more about Queens.
Yeah.
Very big county, 2.5 million people or whatever. We will be running 20 races between Congress, Assembly, State Senate. That's a lot of races. We've seen more of a groundswell now with Trump than we've experienced before. Now,
he's a native son and all the rest.
The party's been in shambles before that, but I think it's more than that.
Every one of those candidates on every level is going to be asked every time Trump says something that's inflammatory, every position he takes that's in either contrast to the Republican agenda or not. A lot of those candidates, that's where the rubber's going to meet the road on whether they turn their back or embrace Donald Trump.
Trump, Dominic, will he be best served throwing everything at the kitchen sink, or will he start to sound more presidential and more measured in some of the stuff, even if he takes a tough attack against Hillary? What kind of Trump do you think we see now? Because we heard before it was just an act. It was just a personality. That's what Manafort was trying to tell Republicans. Trust me, he said, you get to a general, he'll be an adult. I don't buy that. What kind of a tone do you think we get from him?
Bottom line, you stick with what works. We're going to see the quote, if you will, wild Donald Trump. It's quite effective, but more important than that, it resonates.
So you saw every number. You saw every number, every demographic.
Those numbers are irrelevant, Richard. Those polls mean...
They've been right every single election cycle. Yes, they have.
Those polls have not a single poll has been accurate about Donald Trump. We might as well talk about the weather than talking about poll numbers with Trump.
But historically, nobody's ever come from this far back at this point in the race to win the White House.
Okay,
I realize it's the starting point.
But why do we keep talking about historically? Hasn't this guy defied all expectations?
So you want to just throw darts at the board and use that as a get a Ouija board and base it off that?
You're playing now, you put those poll numbers on the side and you say, okay, what has Trump been best at? It's been best at tearing down his opponent, destroying his opponent. So you take those poll numbers and you say there's a 13-point lead, and then you consider the fact that he hasn't even, in his words, started on Hillary yet. I really believe when he starts on her, there's a lot of material. I know that there's a lot of material on Donald Trump. That's no question about it. We've already seen a lot of it. We've already seen a lot with Hillary. But no one has really really trumpeted it.
You don't
as
think people
loud
have gone after
as
Hillary
Donald Trump can. No, because
for the last 20 years?
If you're going to call any of the people in politics right now, the ones who have the voice like Donald Trump, you're underestimating Donald Trump. He's bigger and better than that.
Right about his talents. He might be the 27 Yankees, but he's starting 20, 25 games back in the standings.
And he's alienated groups that obviously have listened, okay? So the question is, to redefine himself is the one thing he can't do, because then he'll be called a phony, and that's the one thing he hasn't been called. He's been authentic, at least, to people's eyes.
And he will continue
to
be.
So, real quickly, give me a name, guys, for VP. Who do you think he picks? There's already a lot of people said they won't run with him.
I think the governor of New Mexico, whose name is...
She's already now said she will not, Susana Martinez will not run with him.
Well, let's see. I think he'd be well served with... Rubio or Kasich.
I'm sticking with Jeff Sessions.
Really?
Anybody he calls is going to take the nod.
Kasich.
I'll say no, Don. Don't call me. All right. Coming up next, gentlemen, thank you very much. You stick around. Dom, Bob, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Andrew, thank you. Coming up next, Shelley Silver just got a 12-year prison sentence. Judge making an example of him. Now, if I were Dean Skelos, I'd be pretty worried about now facing the judge next week here. Will he also get the book thrown at him? Well, the legal panel's here on that and a whole lot more.